Lady, remember how we used to love when the days were long, clean blue sky.
It's the Esoteric Eric Roberts podcast. Today we're talking about Night Walk from the year 2021.
In North America.
It came out in North America in the year 2021. But today we're coming to you from somewhere in the Arab world.
Where it was shown in the Arab town of Moscow in 2019 and also in Prague in 2019.
So it's a couple of years old.
It just recently secured distribution and was released in June of 2021 in North America by Lionsgate, and I forget someone else.
I have learned quite a bit in researching this film, and one thing that I learned was that Tiny Lister passed away, which I was not aware of.
No, you didn't know that?
No, somehow I missed it. And that was last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or earlier this year, last year. Yeah, I believe it was last year.
Well, apparently he's in this film. I was going to ask if you recognized him anywhere.
Wow. I did not.
I did not see him in there. This is a film that's directed by Aziz Tazi, who hails from Morocco. And is this his first film, Roy?
I think so. I think it is his first feature film.
Might be his first feature film.
He had worked as a PA on the 2013 or 14 season of American Idol. Oh, in 2013, he was a PA, production assistant.
Interesting.
But he'd done some other things, I think.
Well, this is a prison film, first and foremost. It has other things going on in it, but I would classify.
It sure does.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one, and it stars.
You know, like when you said that you'd be ready in an hour to set up, and I said bitchin'. It occurs to me like in old times, cool kids would say bitchin', but nowadays cool kids say Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's only one letter difference.
I thought you were trying to say that, and it just auto-corrected.
Yeah, I'm just old-fashioned.
Well, this film stars a guy by the name of Sean Stone, who we have seen before in certain
many times.
Many times. And
Jasper and JFK.
Now,
Donald Nixon and Nixon.
Yeah, and he also played young Jim Morrison in The Doors.
Oh, yeah.
So it's strange that he's in all these Oliver Stone movies. Did you find that strange?
I did find that odd.
And his last name is Stone as well. Did he?
He looked like if you might have blended Oliver Stone with someone attractive.
Yeah, he has a few of Stone's features. Mostly he has the features of Sean William Scott, I felt.
I felt like he was kind of, maybe, I don't know, his look is kind of, I would say somewhere between Charlie Cox and Keanu Reeves, but there's something underbitey about him.
Yeah, it's funny you say Keanu, because see, when there's parts of the film where there are flashbacks and he has floppier hair and he resembles Chris Klein.
Oh, sure, I see that.
Another American Pie alumnus, and I always thought that Chris Klein, in the beginning when Chris Klein first came out, I was like, this dude's just ripping off Keanu Reeves. I probably wasn't wrong about that, but yeah, this seems to be like the first big adult role that Sean Stone has been in that I've seen, at least.
Well, he was in another movie that I watched.
A recent one?
It's a movie from, I believe, 2019, maybe also, but it was actually released in 2019. You can watch it for free on IMDb TV. It's called Union Bound, in which he gets the and credit, but is really co-leads with an actor named Randy Wayne.
Oh.
Do you know anything about this actor, Randy Wayne?
Yeah, I've heard a thing or two about this guy.
He's one of the greatest stars in the history of motion pictures.
Oh, he's already a star. I heard he was an up-and-comer.
No, man. He's the lead.
Arrived.
Yes, and an Android Cop and so many other pictures to save a life. But Randy Wayne, he and what's his face? Sean Stone, they break out of a Confederate prison camp and try to make it back to their to safety throughout this backwoods of the South, and it's based on the diary of the character Sean Stone plays from real life. And I believe the Randy Wayne character is just known as my companion or something. Yeah, I'm giving us a fake Southern accent, even though he's from the North, but from New York. He had a diary where he listed a companion, and then they just made up a companion, made it Randy Wayne, and gave him top billing because Randy Wayne's awesome. However, I felt Sean Stone was far better in Union Bound than he was in this.
Union Bound, it sounds to me like a remake of the film Fled, starring Stephen Baldwin and Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, it was more like the film Homeward Bound in that it was a dog.
Okay, well, so Sean William Scott Stone has been in some other films as an adult. He has a strange style of acting. There's a bit of an uncanny valley quality to
Yes,
this
yes.
guy.
Oh my gosh. In this movie especially, that's why I said it was better than the other one, because I watched the other one with a friend, Lustin Slaker, and I talked him into it, telling him how funny Sean Stone was in this movie, and he really wasn't that funny in the other movie. In this one, he's pretty crazy. Yeah, uncanny valley is a great way to put it. I thought I at some point wanted to ask if he was a mentally challenged person, perhaps.
Do you know much about Stone's religious background?
No, I don't.
Sean Stone is a Muslim,
Ah,
has been for some time. So I think that's probably how he and the old Aziz Tazi hooked up. Because it's a prison film, but it's also kind of a faith film in some
it's
ways.
very much a faith film.
Well, the story starts somewhere in the Arab world, and we see some figures being chased through a Middle Eastern garden at night. It seems to be more of a night run than a night walk, or a night chase, rather.
Mm-hmm.
We see some men in uniforms. We see some bits and pieces of a lady in high heels.
Oh, we see name tag, right?
Of the
Arab,
the men in
Arab,
uniform?
the pursuers. Yes, I was thinking of Married with Children. This is kind of an outdated, backwards gag, but I was wondering if it was translated to Habib.
Maybe so. It's a common name. I did have a good laugh at a woman trying to outrun some cops in high heels. That was pretty good.
They were pretty old.
The guard, yeah. Well, we don't know that yet because
No,
we're just
you're right.
seeing, like,
You're right.
close.
We haven't seen one of my favorite shots of the movie yet either.
So this chase ends with a sound of a gunshot and the poor woman being stopped dead in her tracks.
Nice.
And the next thing we see is a title card that says imprisoned somewhere in California a few weeks later. It's here that we meet someone that
Do you think that imprisoned was the original title of the movie?
That was my
confusing.
impression. Yeah, it was very confusing. I don't think we ever see Night Walk, do we?
Maybe not. Maybe it is supposed to be called imprisoned, because imprisoned, when you see it, is in the middle of the screen, and the 3 weeks earlier or later is in the bottom left-hand corner. It's pretty
strange.
Weird.
It's pretty strange. So it's here that we meet guard Lewis, who's played by Patrick Kilpatrick. I had a feeling, Roy, you'd be able to tell us a lot about Patrick Kilpatrick.
Well, he's our friend from the film Best of the Best 2.
Yeah.
A classic Roberts tough guy, and a man with very twisted parents. His name is a command to suicide.
Patrick Kilpatrick.
And, some people find E.E. Cummings sad, but I find E.D. Cummings are much sadder.
Nice. Well, yeah, Patrick Kilpatrick has a long and illustrious filmography. He's played the heavy. Yeah, he's played the heavy many times. Patrick Kilpatrick is 71 years old. I don't know how old I would have
put him older. I mean, younger. I'm much younger.
Well, he's up to his old hard ass tricks in this.
And boy, is he ever. He gets a lot to do in this.
Yeah. We learn a few things about Frank here. Frank is the character played by Sean Stone,
who is being imprisoned.
The guard, Lewis, says something to the effect of, "You're a news producer on the outside," and you learn that Lewis, he hates fake news, but you know what he loves? Islamophobia.
Yes. He's got the whole crew of like Abu Ghraib style people, just like the really relishing in the degradation. This guy, yeah, Kenny Powers, or what the hell's the main guy's name? Kevin?
Frank.
Yeah,
Frank Lings. Pretty strange name.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so they're giving we see some jump cuts of a body examination before Frank is going to be given his uniform and thrown in jail.
They give him a full body search and get some good Sean Stone nudity.
Yeah, we get a nice shot of Frank's bare bottom.
Sean Stone in good shape.
Sean Stone looking firm, and Lewis telling him that he's going to share a cell with this guy, Frenchy. So we meet Frenchy, aka Ayman, who is played by French rap legend Laoni Mouid. When we meet him, he is praying. The legend himself. I'd never heard of him.
Never heard of him. He cut his asking price because he wanted to be in this film so badly, to get a chance to break through to an American audience or something.
Nice. When we first meet him, he's praying. He and Frank get acquainted. There's a little convo about God and prison. That's kind of weird. I don't remember the details of that too much, but they're getting to know each other. It's pretty friendly. There's not much animosity.
No, they get along.
And so then Frank has a meeting with his Asian female lawyer, and we learn that he's supposed to be getting 20 years for the death of his, I guess you could call her his fiance. She was shot and it was blamed on him. There was no evidence they couldn't find any evidence of a firearm.
It's rough when
And there's
shoot your
talk about a judge who was hasty to proceed with his indictment.
And this is where we see
Mr. Eric Roberts,
who does not receive the "and" credit in this film.
Yeah, I don't remember where he is in the order, but this is a
I think he's
hilarious
like-
Roberts intro. It's in my tops. And so he's a judge. I forget his name. We'll call him Judge Roberts, I guess, unless you
Yes.
remember his name.
I don't.
So yeah, we have a little flashback of this lawyer
No,
trying
I
to
don't.
talk to him, and he's got a styrofoam cup of water. He's got his blazer tossed over his shoulder. He gives an amazing shrug off to the lawyer. And we get a nice ADR of the lady lawyer going, "Excuse me," and as he's just walking away.
He's all shaggy. He's looking a little sprier maybe than in Ape versus Monster. Wouldn't you say he looks a little more hale here?
Yeah, I think so.
We don't get any dialogue from him here, do we?
No, just that great shrug.
He's just silent in flashback.
So yeah, his lawyer she can't really help him. He's kind of screwed. So then we see him in a workshop of some kind. I was trying to figure out what they were making in this prison workshop. Were they sewing?
Yeah, it looked like they were sewing. I'm not sure. They said some weird stuff. Like there was some shouting in this movie that was strange.
Yes.
Very strange.
Who's your best friend?
Yes.
You are. Kilpatrick is just ever present in this film.
Yes, and apparently was intended to be more so. I read on the IMDb trivia. This movie has a lot of monologues. Apparently, one of the ones around in here was where we're just seeing him go around in the prison and talk, like when it intercuts with other things. You're like, why the hell are we even seeing this? He had a long monologue they cut for time purposes.
Yeah, he gets to chew it up pretty good.
Yeah, I think maybe they thought this was a little more like a Pulp Fiction-y style story where you follow all the characters, and he was supposed to be like a well-rounded, interesting character by the end. We'll see what happens with him, but it really felt like you were just seeing a lot of this guy for no apparent reason.
Right. So it's in this workshop where Frank meets Gary, who is played by Mickey Rourke.
Winner of the 2019 Prague Independent Film Awards Best Actor.
Incredible. And apparently Rourke only worked one day on this production.
Yeah, took home the trophy for one day of work.
Damn, that's pretty
and
good.
To be honest, I thought he was probably the best performance in the film.
Yeah.
I could have done without his prospector whistle. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Is that when he talked?
Well, it kind of felt like it was coming from his nose, right? From his septum.
From doing too many drugs. Oh, man.
Yeah, or just
Maybe
being punched in the nose so many times.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it was a character note because it turns out he's, dealing blow.
Oh, man.
Maybe
the blow, the plastic surgery.
Move. Yeah, he's looking wild in comparison. This is our first revisiting of the Rourke Roberts combo since Hope of Greenwich Village.
Yeah, much has changed.
Oh, yes. They do not look the same.
Not at all.
Who would you rather look like in this movie?
Roberts.
Yeah, I got to go with Roberts as well.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke's face is looking pretty wild.
If I had to choose between Sean Stone and Eric Roberts in this film, I'd go with Roberts. Sorry, Sean Stone. You are classically handsome, but you look like a character at Epcot Center. So yeah, Mickey Rourke, Gary played by Mickey Rourke, played by an Easter Island statue, shows up here, and he kind of runs the show. He's the big man on campus. He's bouncing a ball. That's his signature.
He's an Aryan Brotherhood guy. Yeah, he's bouncing that ball.
Yeah, he's got a big swastika tattooed on his neck. He likes to use some racial slurs.
Yes.
And just basically is pretty friendly to Frank and just tells him, look, you keep your head down. down and you do what you're asked to do when you're in here.
He tells him, he gives him one, keep your asshole tight or something like that. I watched another movie just for a side movie. I found a movie called a 1980 TV movie starring Ron Howard and Mickey Rourke as brothers.
Wow.
Act of Love. So it's a little late phase Ron Howard.
Wow.
And it was not only a better film than this, I'd say it was a better film than Pope of Greenwich Village, and probably better than most of the films Ron Howard's directed and that Mickey Rourke has appeared in over the years. And I enjoyed both their performances. And it was it wasn't a perfect movie, but it was an engrossing TV movie. It was a story of like, they played brothers, and Mickey Rourke, and they're like country guys. And Mickey Rourke's the older brother and has a wife and baby, and they live like out on this farm with them and the mom and stuff, and their grandma, and which is their mom. And Mickey Rourke gets in a motorcycle wreck in the woods and gets paralyzed. And he's like got no chance to live, or he has a chance to live, but not, he's not going to ever probably walk again or anything, or be able to feel anything from the head down. And he asks them, his wife and Ron Howard, if he dies in this, or if he's going to be stuck like that after this operation he has, that they'll kill him. And his wife won't agree to it, but Ron Howard promises. And sure enough, he gets stuck, and Ron Howard like saws off the barrel of a shotgun or something and fills it with all this like these pellets, and goes to the hospital with it tucked down into his slacks or jeans, and then pulls it out and blows his brother's brains out all over the hospital floor. And then there's a big trial and it's about like euthanasia and how to defend this guy in a country with where euthanasia isn't legal and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like an early 80s TV movie.
It sure does. But it was kind of cool. Ron Howard's pretty good, but you can see how somebody could be better. He was pretty good. Mickey Rourke was really good.
Throughout
as he is here, I like Mickey Rourke best in supporting performances. I think it might have a lot to do with the kind of leading man roles Mickey Rourke chooses, more than but when somebody tucks him in there like this, it's like he's usually a lot of fun.
Yeah, he goes for it here, and his dialogue and Kilpatrick's dialogue especially, they really feel like they're written by a completely different screenwriter.
Yeah, like there was something that alluded to maybe Mickey Rourke improvised that your pretty mama won't be so pretty anymore line to Sean Stone because he knows Oliver Stone. Yeah, it did also feel like maybe Kilpatrick's lines, a lot of them felt like he might have just been making them up. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I got that feeling.
If they weren't made up, the feeling I had was that I wished Eric Roberts and Patrick Kilpatrick had traded roles, because those lines would have been awesome if Eric Roberts would have been saying some of the things.
Yeah, as a prison guard. I don't know.
Well, just all the crazy stuff that Patrick Kilpatrick has some wild lines in this movie, like just weird stuff like, oh yeah, sweet Arab JJ brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna stretch your wife out. That was
yeah.
That one sticks with you. I was gonna ask you about the thing of Kilpatrick's character bringing them these Pilates balls or these beach balls around for people to blow up. What the hell was that?
I missed that.
Yeah, you see it a few times. He makes the inmates blow into these balls and inflate them, and I kept thinking I was missing something. Maybe it's some kind of
maybe it's a prison thing I don't know about.
Prison deal. I don't know.
That's something maybe somebody could tell us about. What are what are those balls for?
Yeah, Aziz Tazi, get in touch with us. Let us know what that ball was all about. So so the thing comes back with Mickey Rourke where Frank runs into Gary again, and as soon as he sees him, he asks him like, do you need something? And there's some good Mickey Rourke lines in this scene here. My favorite being, look at your pretty wet ass, ain't got a scar or a scratch on you.
Yeah.
And another one, I like my boys hard, I like them tough, and I like them hard. You feel me?
It was tough. I like my boys hard.
He does say you feel me a lot too.
Yeah. What does he say about his boobs?
He's something like,
you got boobs like a woman.
You got tits like a woman. You like a walking cheesecake.
Yeah.
I gotta get you in shape.
Gotta get some muscle on you. Yeah, get you on the weights tomorrow.
Pretty much the gist of this scene is Roberts pulls out a bag of drugs and tells him to hide it in his ass. I mean, it comes out of
Mickey
nowhere.
Rourke tells him, yeah. He's like, hide this cocaine up your ass, yeah. That's what it looks like, cocaine.
Yeah, and he
It's
just pretty
not
much
a powder.
flips it to him like real casually.
And it's a
and
big
then
bag, it feels like, to me.
it looks too big. It's
I mean,
so
I don't know.
funny.
To be just thrown around like that, it seems like a lot.
Right as this is happening, a group of Muslim inmates, they show up and run Gary off. And they tell Frank that this was Frenchy's idea. So it's his cellmate looking out for him.
And the non-black Muslims, the regular Muslims after him.
Right.
Do you know the difference between Muslims and black Muslims? They don't share all the same beliefs, I don't think.
No, they don't. But in this film, they're integrated.
Well, I mean, maybe is that true? Or was it just that maybe just some of the Muslims are black?
So you're saying the black Muslims in this film aren't Nation of Islam Muslims?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah,
perhaps.
okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that, but I would guess. Do you know about, what is it, Yaqub's mistake or something?
I've heard of that, yeah.
That the Nation of Islam, they believe something like an old story that other Muslims don't believe. That there's this guy Yaqub, and he made man or something, and only the black people were people, and all the other people were dolls or something, and the dolls came alive and wreaked havoc or something. I forget. That's everybody else.
Damn, that sounds kind of prejudiced.
It's I mean, you know, like, sure, you can find prejudiced things in every religion, but it's kind of wild. Yeah. I guess most Islamic people don't believe that. There is another thing too, another big difference. I can't remember what it is. That one stuck with me. I don't know why, as a black man.
That's right. A lot of people don't know that about Roy. They only know him from his work on the Esoteric Roberts podcast. So Frank has a buddy.
I do a lot of work as a black man.
Frank as we know, is a journo, and he has a buddy in journalism named Bobby.
Yeah.
So he gets on the phone with his buddy Bobby and is trying to explain like what happened, you know.
And we find out that this movie is made over several years too. It not only has taken a long time to get released in the United States or North America, it was filmed partly in 2015 and partly in 2018. And like, one of the things you read about this movie says that, yeah, when the guy picks up the phone to call him, it was 3 years before Sean Stone Sean Stone is calling him 3 years later than the guy's picking up the phone or something.
Frederick James Koch has Bobby,
yes.
And you can tell there's been some time differences, especially with his performance, because his hair is just all over the place.
I believe he's the son of a man we'll see later, I would guess.
Oh, really? Like in real life?
I think so. This man, we're going to get introduced to him probably pretty soon. But this guy Koch, I'm thinking, is probably a Sri Lankan dude.
Yes.
Who is related to a man we'll see in a bit.
That's right. So Bobby tells him basically something to the effect of, I told you to never trust the police, especially in a foreign government. Frank tells Bobby that he thinks this judge screwed him, and he asks him to help put his journalism research experience to use and help him out.
I'm Judge Roberts.
So back in the prison cell, Frank Stifler is crying in his cot, and Sean Stone, not the greatest cinematic crier.
There are a lot of rough moments for Sean Stone in this.
Yeah, his crying is just, man, Sean, if you're listening, buddy, we don't want you to quit. We just want you to try harder next time.
Union Bound was better.
Did he cry?
Not as a movie. It was a bad movie like this, maybe even less entertaining than this. No, he might have. I can't remember. But just in general, he was better in the movie.
Yeah. Does Donald Nixon cry in Nixon? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Well, much like Nixon, there's a flashback here. As he's crying in his prison cell, then we flash back to this meet cute that he has with Sarah.
All the stuff with him and the girl is are my favorite scenes of Sean Stone's acting. Just to laugh at. He's so good at like not being naturalistic or charming. They have zero chemistry. Who played this girl? Her name is Salami.
Yeah, her name is Sarah Alami.
Sarah Lami.
Sarah. Very striking young lady, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he strikes up a conversation with her. He's like, his character is a huge douchebag in this movie. What'd you think? Oh, he has a lot of crazy clothes in this movie. A lot of outfit changes for him on the outside here. What'd you think of the style of what's his face, old Sean Stone?
I mean, it's fitting for his character. Everything is just unsettling in subtle ways.
I like some of of the outfits and some of them I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing is really out of the ordinary. It's just something weird about the way the clothes rest on the man.
We just saw like he seems so phony, and
Yeah.
so it's really makes everything extra greasy. Yeah,
And
this
he's
whole
super-
he comes in on the phone to somebody, maybe our buddy Koch, and he's talking about someone with double D's and all this stuff, and just being really.
You could say she was a D student. Yeah, double D. Yeah, and he orders. What does he order at this restaurant?
Oh gosh, he orders an eclair
to go.
Yes.
And he's in super Chris Klein mode in this scene here, which
yeah, almost a little cruisy, but I guess he doesn't really play it like Cruise. He just goes for constant. He goes for huge smiles all the time.
And he's got this name tag that has languages listed. It has his name on it because she says his name. He's like, "How'd you know my name?" She's like, "Because of the name tag." Yeah, first time I've seen that in anything. And discussion about language, and then a sister comes around who is
also striking,
very impatient, and wants her salad because he's literally held this woman up for like 20 extra seconds almost. So, and then they both kind of humiliate him because Sarah brings up the double D statement, and they walk away, but he doesn't give up. He goes back. He goes to her table and asks for her number, and he gives her a business card, and she writes something. She gives him the number, but she writes something in Arabic and gives him homework and says, "You have to translate this."
And I suppose Sarah Alami, that she is Arabic, but that she does speak and write some Arabic, but she's not fluent, and her writing was such that it was not in the shape that they could show more of. They could show her hand for more than a couple seconds when she was writing. A second.
Nice observation.
I read that on Wikipedia or something.
Nice.
Apparently, I think this has a director's commentary on the DVD, and maybe you can watch that deleted scene of Patrick Kilpatrick I mentioned, but I'm not sure. I believe so, but I did not purchase this on DVD. I apologize to the makers. I just watched the film.
So does he have Bobby translate it for him? I know Bobby is in the next scene, Mr. Koch.
I think that he loses the piece of paper.
Yes, and Bobby finds it in the couch.
They find it, yes. And then they debate about Arab chicks, and he says Bobby says Koch says he one time dated a Persian girl, a girl whose dad was Persian, and what's his face tells him that he's a good friend for finding that paper, and Persian and Arab is nothing alike.
That's right. Everyone knows that. So now we see them on a date at a little nice nightclub, Sarah and Frank. I kind of like Frank's fit in this scene. He's got like a nice striped shirt.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let me think. There's one sequence here where I didn't like his outfit. Maybe this was one where I did. I can't remember, because a few of them I was like, I kind of like Frank's clothes here, but not all the time. Not when he was at home with his roommate.
No.
There was is this the striped shirt he has with the sleeves rolled up?
Yeah, it's like a red and white striped shirt. I'm a big fan of the red and white striped shirt.
I have a big rule, which is that only 1 in a trillion short sleeve button down shirts will look good on you.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
And so what he's done here is what I will always do is just roll up the sleeves of a long sleeve shirt and not take that risk. I never buy any short sleeve button down shirts.
It always looks better.
Every once in a while, somebody has it on a short sleeve button down shirt, and you're like, oh, it actually looks good, but it's very, very rare.
Man, I have so many short sleeve button down shirts, and I never wear them.
This is one of my number one life rules is I don't get those.
Now, I like to wear them under a sweater.
Oh, that makes sense.
But then you're left with all that empty sleeve space where the itchy sweater is dragging against your...
Hell, man. A lot of times I wear a sweater with no undershirt.
Man, you're a strange one. It's a bit of an uncanny valleyness about that.
Yeah, I wear a little sweater with no undershirt a lot of the time, but not right now in June. But
no, well, there's a singer who's in this nightclub, and this is the guy we were talking about earlier.
Yes, whom what's his face? Chris Klein refers to. Sean Stone refers to as like the king of pop or something, the biggest thing over somewhere.
Asia's king of pop.
Alston Koch.
Well, I did a search search on this man,
Mhm.
and Asia's King of Pop comes up. So it is he is constantly referenced as that.
He's not so much known here. It doesn't seem like I noticed his YouTube videos don't have many hits, but maybe people don't go on YouTube from the countries that I don't know. I don't know how all that works. But at any rate, I did like the slow jam he was singing. I thought it added to the scene when they came in. I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
good.
I was feeling it.
I was too. It reminded me of like when the guy sings, I forget what the singer's name is in King of New York, when they have the fundraiser or something, and you're like, wait, this song the guy's singing is actually pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's actually not bad. But then I found the song on YouTube. I didn't like the song when I listened to it on YouTube. Try to give it. He's had been around forever, I guess, and he's had many different incarnations.
Well, if you weren't sure he was a big star in this, when they introduce him over the little stage in the club, it's a kind of sparsely populated club, not very big, but over his stage in the scene is a
It doesn't mean I'll be
screen.
that late too in a lounge. Go ahead, sorry.
Maybe so. Yeah, and there's a big screen with the footage of him in a live performance that's just massively populated with people.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I got a nice. I laughed good at that.
Yeah, I wondered if it's because this is the weirdest guy we're saying is probably his name is Alston Koch, like the other guy Koch, and he's a Sri Lankan singer. And I do wonder if I was wondering if maybe they put in money or something. I don't know. maybe just casting the son was a good way to get Alston. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see.
The son could have been a worse actor.
Well, I felt I had seen him in stuff before.
Me too.
He looked familiar.
I don't think I had.
I didn't mean to type, just assume that he was a Muslim in the scene that we talked about earlier, but or that he spoke Arabic at least.
Oh yeah, and this is like what did they say? Something like we get some good flirting here between Sean Stone and Sarah Alami. Did you write anything down about this?
No, I was like, man, I'm sure Roy will come up with something better.
I don't know. He takes her, like, he tells her that his big like thing to get. Oh, he's something about getting a grade from her, and she's like, it's not quite. She's like, I'll give you an A- or something. He's like, yeah, what I could do for the A+ is this. Then he takes her out on the dance floor. You're a dancer. What a lot of the listeners don't know is that ED is an excellent dancer. It has enviable dancing ability, certainly envied by me, who cannot dance a lick.
Wow.
Now, tell me, how did you feel about Sean Stone's dancing here?
Pretty uncanny.
I felt like they had to cut it like a cheap action movie. Like they couldn't afford to teach Sean Stone to dance.
I mean, couldn't they just do? Anybody can slow dance. I mean, couldn't they just have made it more simple? Also, in this scene,
I like to think they probably tried and he failed over and over again. He's just like, no.
Let's try it fast. Let's try it slow.
Look, man, I just want to get stoned.
Also in this scene, there's a mention of this. She kind of talks about this how she came over to America. Sarah, that is, talks about how her sister kind of helped raise her. They almost give too much bearing to this sister who
there are
doesn't
a lot of
really
funny line readings. Yeah, there is a lot with the sister that doesn't really come into play.
I think this is the last we really see her.
Yeah,
sister's gone after this.
Yes.
Well, this is where the flashback ends for now. We're back in the prison world.
This is where he has the letter and all that stuff.
That's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
And right after this flashback, we see the prayer room.
Yes.
Where all of the Muslim inmates go. And we meet the leader of the Islamic gang of inmates, Saud. Is that how you'd say his name?
I forgot his name from the movie, honestly.
Well, they mostly refer to him as Ferris.
Yes, Ferris. That's right. I don't remember it being Saud. I remember it being like a word.
It's Rico Ross as Saud Ferris. So we'll just refer to him as Ferris henceforth.
The scenes, though, that like when they're at that club and everything with Sean Stone and Sarah, and when they're at the diner, just some of the line readings between those two and the sister, the three of them, and then when they're hanging out, it's nonstop pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the part of the movie or the parts of the movie that are straight up Hallmark.
Yeah, like, they're pretty cheesy.
Yes. Yeah, you feel like you're watching a Hallmark Christmas film starring Randy Wayne.
Yeah, and I blame, to a degree, I blame some of it on Sean Stone. It's like, because he's so bad in these scenes. She's not good either, but you could imagine if he was better, she could be better. He's just so bad at like trying to sound normal and charming. It's like it almost seems like he's constantly trying to play a guy who thinks he's charming and isn't, is a creep.
He strikes you as a creepy guy who's trying so hard
Yeah, actually is an ultimate creepy tryhard who's like kind of really doesn't have social graces. Like the way he's not clever. Maybe the dialogue is supposed to be funny that's written for him or witty to some degree, but instead it just sounds like he's like the worst guy in the world. Where we're not even to some of that yet.
Yeah, you just wish he's the type of guy you wish would just relax and be himself and acknowledge that Muhammad is the one true prophet. It would make his life much easier.
Yes.
Did you want to say anything else about this, the nightclub scene?
Not offhand, I can't remember anything.
It's pretty
I'm sure
good.
There's something wacky. Yeah.
It is a feast for the senses.
He sings a second song in that nightclub scene, right? And it's more of like a traditional disco song,
yeah, that's the one they're trying to dance to, right?
Yes, when they dance, it's the second song by him. Yeah, and I was not as into that song. I liked the first one more. The part where he sang it sounded good. Yeah,
the slow jam was a lot of fun.
But it's brief.
So in this prayer room, Frenchy, aka Iman, is approached by the leader, Ferris, Louis Farrakhan. Ferris asks him about his new cellmate, Frank.
Yeah, we got Louis and Ferris.
And there's a weird conversation. He turns up the radio to like static and noise, remember? And he starts talking about
and he doesn't want
torture.
He says anybody, he says that guy, everybody, he kind of implies that don't be loose with this guy because the man will use any means to bring down people of our faith, kind of, or something, right?
Yeah, and he's also afraid that he might be FBI
as a Fed or something. He's working for the man, or will rat them out. But he basically says he might be a snitch.
And he agrees to keep protecting him.
Yeah.
He says, we're going to keep protecting him, but if he becomes a problem, I'm going to get rid of him. And next is when we see this mail call scene.
Yeah.
Where the guard, Lewis, played by Kilpatrick, is just, man, he loves to torture Frenchy.
This is where it occurred to me that I would like to see Eric Roberts doing this scene.
We've seen
the Kilpatrick lines.
And we've had a few moments throughout leading up to this of Lewis really picking on Frenchy. He really has
Lewis hates Frenchy the most of all for some reason of all the Muslims, but he really hates Muslims. But we don't meet too many groups of prisoners. We only meet the one white area. And we see some guys though. We see some cool guys in the lunchroom.
Lewis brings a plate of croissants and coffee.
Yeah.
And he sets it down on the floor, which is strange. And he gives a letter to Frank. He's like, "Hey, this is for you. This is from Bobby. Who's that? Your boyfriend?" And then, who is the letter to Frenchy from?
I was confused about that. Maybe his wife.
I think maybe so.
Yeah.
In any case,
he had a son. We find out later he had a son, right? Yeah. So yeah, we'll go with wife. Maybe.
At any rate, Frenchy does not get to read the letter because Lewis rips it up in front of him, and he leaves.
His own letter, right?
And he leaves the croissants and coffee for him. He's like, "This is the food of your people." He leaves it like right out of reach from him.
Oh,
yeah. Very weird.
Real hater.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of discussion. After Lewis leaves, Frenchy and Frank talk a little bit more about Ferris and his group of boys. And Frenchy kind of explains that a lot of those guys are extremists and terrorists.
Yeah.
But Frenchy has no choice but to run with them because he needs their protection.
That's right.
And the most important thing in this scene is just Frenchy explaining to Frank that he's part of that gang. He kind of tells him, like, you're part of this gang too, whether you like it or not. So you're thinking now, oh, this is gonna really put him at odds with Gary, played by Eric Roberts. But we'll find that Gary's kind of hard to find throughout a lot.
Mickey Rourke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gary kind of is absent. Where did he go? He kind of is gone for a little bit. But yeah, like you were saying, we're in the security room next with
where I had immediately, I said, "Holy shit, Richard Tyson."
Yeah. I knew that you would have something to say about this guy. Another great character actor.
He's in it. He's a character actor that's been around since I would guess the 80s, and then probably like the mid 80s or something. I'm not sure, but he was the bad guy in Kindergarten Cop.
Oh yeah.
Then he was in a lot of Farrelly Brothers movies, and he was in Battlefield Earth. He was in a lot of Hollywood movies, and then somehow I don't know if he's been in anything I've even heard of in like a trillion years. And he's just kind of what do you know? What do you feel? How do you feel about Richard Tyson overall?
I mean, he's a ham.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that, like, anybody that's in those Farrelly Brothers movies is usually just horrible, like a big ham. It's amazing to me that Richard, what's his name? The guy that was in the Farrelly Brothers. Jenkins. Yes, that's right. Jenkins is kind of horrible in those. Oh, Jenkins is not great in the Fairley Brothers movies.
Yeah, I remember we used to not like him.
No. And then maybe the first time I said to myself, this guy's kind of good, was in The Man Who Wasn't There.
You know, the time where I really appreciated him, I think I'd liked him in other things before that, but even The Man Who Wasn't There, I thought didn't quite get what he was up to, or what they were up to with. I liked that movie a lot, but his scene, if I don't remember it being my favorite, I need to watch it again. But at any rate, it was a movie called Jack Reacher that you and I watched. But I saw it the first time at the theater with another one of our friends, and he was just trying to make everything so real and naturalistic in this movie with just crazy dialogue. And I was like, wow, no one else is trying as hard as Richard Jenkins to make this all seem like a real movie.
I don't know, the Fairley Brothers effect.
But my feeling is, I don't think we ever liked Richard Tyson too much. And then we knew it when we worked in a movie theater. We knew a wild old man that smelled very bad and had some kind of mental issues, and he would caught on that we didn't like Richard Tyson, and he would just yell out about Richard Tyson sometimes. It's like, oh, that Richard Tyson sucks. And Richard Tyson was out in a lot of movies in those days. Like, we had Battlefield Earth at that theater, and so he had a lot of opportunities to make fun of Richard Tyson, and we always got a kick out of it as like a running gag. When's the last time you saw Battlefield Earth?
Oh, a long time ago, 20 years.
I saw it maybe less than a year ago, and I gotta say it's laughable. Like, you will laugh at how bad a lot of things come off, but the actual story, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that I am a Scientologist, but I'm saying I've heard worse sci-fi plots.
The year 2000
execution. I like Barry Pepper too.
Probably the busiest year of Richard Tyson's career, I'd say. I'm looking at his filmography, and he was in such notables as Me, Myself, and Irene,
yes.
Battlefield Earth. Well, going into 2001, Black Hawk Down.
He works a lot nowadays, though. Like in recent years, I would see he does a Eric Roberts amount of work.
In this movie, he had a very kind of a Bill Murray quality to him, kind of hangdog, and he had that messy Murray hair.
Yeah, he was kind of the voice of reason, but he really didn't try to be reasonable. He was the guy that doesn't rock the boat but isn't militant, and is kind of helps you see that Kilpatrick is visibly kind of out of control to him. In fact, you can almost say Richard Tyson didn't ham it up that much in this role.
No.
For once, because the movie was kind of trying to portray that, like, hey, Richard Tyson knows there's something off about this guy, and that kind of came across. I think Richard Tyson did a good job of that, and he kind of seemed like a more likable character than most of the people in the movie, honestly.
And this is the first scene where you get other dimensions of the Kilpatrick character.
Yes,
you find out that he has a child on the way,
and I thought, boy, this guy is such a pleasant guy. Whoever he's knocked up, that has to be one of the biggest winners.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah. And what else do we learn about him? We learn that he likes motorcycles.
Yeah,
he throws on a motorcycle helmet well before he's out of the prison office, which is strange.
Right.
I made note that made me take pause, Roy. Very strange thing to do.
Yes.
And then, yeah, they have this discussion also about the Muslim gangs, and Lewis just keeps. Lewis calls them the Hajis.
Oh yeah, so he's like, don't they just make you mad? And Richard Tyson's like, well, not really. And he's like, what makes you mad about it? He's like, the way they pray.
Yeah. I just don't like
it. It doesn't bother you how they pray?
And then a great Richard Tyson line where he's like, as long as they don't take bacon out of the cafeteria, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Richard Tyson kind of in John C. Reilly mode in this movie, right?
A little bit, yeah. So we see Frank, now he's starting to get more buddy with this Muslim gang. He's sitting with them in the cafeteria.
Yeah, that's right. He gets a seat with them at the table.
Rourke does pop back up here.
Yes.
Rourke and Kilpatrick's
got the baby on the way and needs money. He's having a hard time, and Rourke and it seems like Gary and Lewis go way back.
And for the first time, Lewis's character
they're both racists.
Lewis feels intimidated by someone.
Kind of. I guess he kind of like
really.
I guess he does.
Oh yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
I just thought he was being all weird because he was doing he kind of does own his ass. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I get that for sure.
So is he giving him the drugs to sell for money, or is he giving him drugs to take?
He's giving him drugs to sell for money.
Okay.
But first, one of the craziest lines, I tried to look up if this was some kind of prison slang. I think right before this was when he sits down in the cafeteria, and we hear crazy shit in the cafeteria. Some guy just keeps saying, I need a ball porter. I need a ball porter. You got some beans on my ball ball.
Yeah, and that's not Lewis.
Is it? It may be.
I don't know.
It may have been
But
Lewis.
I heard it, and I just figured it was him because he's always shouting shit.
He's the one saying who's your friend or whatever, who's your best friend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's saying, repeat that now. A ball porter.
Yeah, I need a ball porter. You got some beans on my ball. I need a ball. He repeats, I need a ball porter. That's what it sounds like to me. And it says, you got some beans on my ball.
Odd.
I looked into it for slaying things. I couldn't find anything. Yeah, Rourke gives that Coke to Kilpatrick to sell, and he tells him, if you want another bag, just whistle. And I was thinking he should say, if you want another bag, just whistle. Wait, bad idea. I'll think it was myself.
No, never mind. That's just my nose. Well, so then right around this time, Lewis has himself a flashback.
Yes, which was very crazy. This is like when I thought like, oh yeah, they thought that the Lewis character, we were kind of going to be invested in him at this point.
I should have made a note, but I didn't. But there is some mention of a prosthetic. Did you catch that?
I did not.
I think Lewis has a prosthetic leg, and we never see it. They probably didn't have the budget to show anything like that.
Yeah, he got into a firefight in the Middle East.
Yeah, him and some guys who are kind of similar aged soldiers of fortune, it looks like.
The soldiers of distinction.
Yeah, we get some budget blown here for sure. We get some explosions and gunfire. And Lewis's leg gets mangled nice and good by a landmine, I think. Bomb of some sort.
This movie was partly funded by like the Moroccan Film Commission or something.
Yeah, which is where the director is from. He's from Morocco. He's crazy soldiers with like ball caps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we get a little. We understand now.
Why he hates the Muslims. Yes.
Yeah, he hates these guys that pray. Bobby comes to the prison and meets Frank in a meeting room, and Bobby's done some. Well, it's not a meeting room. It's in the phone booth. What do they call those things?
A little visitor booth.
Yeah, they're talking
visitor window
in the phones and
visitation window.
Sounds right. And Bobby has been doing some research on the good judge Eric Roberts.
Yes.
And he checks into his re-election campaign donors. And how do you want me to get detailed on this?
You go for it.
All right.
Give it a shot.
You're probably going to have to correct me because my
eyes I don't really remember. Yeah, this was like we get a crazy kind of not really a trailer, but we get a cool montage that ran some budget blowing here, just going around a little, it felt like.
Yeah, we get
sort of detailing, because we see this is one of those things where he tells us what all Eric Roberts is up to, and we see it.
Yeah, we get to see the operations edited in a crazy fashion. Like the speed up, slow down editing technique that makes everything better.
Yeah, you know how that is when you don't have time or money, and you don't know, it's like you don't know how long the guy's speech lasts. You don't know how long the shots have to last. It's just poor planning.
Definitely
tough to do a montage like that, but
So Bobby finds out that this judge has strong ties to the Gulf, which we would assume to be the Persian Gulf.
Yes.
And he has a lot of investors in the region. And Bobby actually goes to the judge's office at one point and is trying to charm the secretary into letting him speak to the judge. And when she steps away from the desk, he snoops around. He finds out that the judge has taken a trip to that region.
I looked it up. It's Judge Wilson.
There you go. Isn't it Judge Jude Wilson?
Maybe.
Bobby also has intel buddies in the Moroccan government, which is kind of cool. So he gets with those dudes and he finds out the judge. He's been talking to the vice prime minister of Morocco and these other business executives over there. And basically it's the judge's wife that has these connections, right?
Yeah.
And the judge is just the guy who is like safeguarding everybody. So Bobby is writing this huge expose now. He's really found like this big powder keg.
Big story.
And Frank,
they're journalists, remember, as we have been told many times, even though we never see Frank do any journalism.
No. And both Bobby and Frank are very excited by all this. Frank is like, this is going to get you a Pulitzer. And it seems like, most importantly, it's going to free Frank. But during this scene of craziness, there's also some intercutting that starts to happen. And what we're seeing in the intercutting is Bobby driving down this secluded road in the hills, and this biker starts to follow him, which one scene or shot, we get a great reflection of the filming crew in the car as they pass
Oh,
by on
really?
the road.
I missed that.
Yeah. And so this motorcycle runs Bobby off the hill. And then we get a great graphic CGI shot of the rolling car going down the hill. Doesn't look like Bobby survives, but we're not sure yet.
No, pretty sure he's dead.
So then we get some Frank and Frenchy bonding stuff because Lewis keeps abusing Frenchy. And so Frank helps him with a broken finger or something like that. And that's when we learn more about Frenchy's past, how he had lost reveals that he lost someone close to him.
But he says it's his son, and then he says it's someone close to him, I thought.
Oh, maybe so.
This is a weird thing where at first maybe I just misunderstood him, but I thought he said my son, and then he says someone close to me, like in the next line about the same thing. I thought it was maybe a mistake, or I would say this rapper guy, his acting wasn't too strong.
Don't you know his most famous rap song, Roy? My son, I mean someone close to me.
Yeah, he didn't like correct himself. It was like two lines that maybe were said out of order, or I don't know, or maybe they just didn't pay attention to how they wrote the dialogue. I'm not really sure. Much like a lot of things in this movie, I'm not sure like if they were improvised or if they were just really that dumb of lines. Like with the Kilpatrick stuff, you just see like maybe this guy wrote just sheaves of dialogue for this guy, like just thinking like he thought this had this awesome evil character that had a reason for being, that could be healed or something, maybe that was human. But
do you think Kilpatrick thought it was going to get him a Pulitzer?
No. I think he did his best, try to serve the real.
Well, Frenchy lost someone close to him, which began him on the spiritual path. And I think he says he kind of searched around for different things, and he went to a mosque, and the rest is
didn't
history.
He first try to like want to kill the guy?
Well,
but then
he explains that
doesn't go
later.
into any of that. Okay,
which is why the son, someone close to me thing is so weird, because he expands on that later. Yeah. So during this too, we have more flashbacks to Frank and Sarah's very smooth courtship.
Is this when he finally is going to make her the dinner?
Yeah, he's going to make her some Moroccan chicken.
This is one of the most important notes of the thing, right? Was that the bug in the drawer when he looks for the cookbook, when he pulls out the cookbook.
Right, yeah. What's the deal with the bugs?
I don't know. There was a live bug there.
Yes, but I made note of 3 instances of spiders or beetles. And
maybe it's auspicious for the Muslim faith film.
Yeah, it's some symbol we're not aware of.
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, the bug in there in the drawer.
What were the other?
There's a spider in the cell when Frank first moves in to Frenchy's cell. He notices a spider. And then when they're in that locker room, I think pretty close to this scene, and he's fixing his broken finger, there's a spider that's in the locker
crazy.
I think Lewis looks at it. So something's up with these bugs. If anyone knows, please give us a shout.
Yeah, I only noticed this one, but it was bigger than Dallas, and I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, big old.
It was weird that Sean Stone doesn't do anything about it, just leaves it. But I could see also doing that if I opened the drawer and found a beetle in someone else's house, just be like, you know what,
I'm just gonna let that ride.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let that scarab ride.
Yeah, they're scarier bugs than the scarab.
Well, if there's anything anyone takes away from this movie, it's that you don't use turmeric in the Moroccan chicken. Do you think that he ruined it and she was being nice, or do you think it was okay?
I think to her he ruined it, but if he thought it was edible, then maybe I don't know if we really see him eat it, do we? But
I don't think so.
I think she thought it sucked ass, but she might just have bad. I bet she just might have. It looks good.
Was it supposed to be saffron? I think.
I don't know.
Damn, I bet he ruined it. Now that I think about it,
is this where he tells her they want to go to Egypt or something?
Yeah, she wants to take him to Morocco. She starts to panic something about their families. She has like a panic attack about their cultural differences, and you're going to celebrate Christmas and I don't celebrate Christmas, and there's something else in this scene that we learn, that she won't have sex with Frank. She is a virgin, in fact. And she says to him, Frank, don't you want someone with experience?
No, I want you.
He promises to only go as far as she wants.
That's right.
And so she offers, and then she says something like, well, how far do you want to go? How about Morocco? So will you go to Morocco? So then we have a nice picturesque trip to Morocco, and they straight up went there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think they filmed a lot of this movie in Morocco.
You think maybe the prison
maybe
scenes?
Maybe.
That would be pretty cool.
I think maybe anything that didn't have Mickey Rourke.
Rourke is like, here's the deal. I'm coming to Morocco for 1 day. You get 1 day.
Tough call there. We know
Some of
he
those
only worked
yard-
1 day, and they said that the textile like thing was, or they said that where they're doing the sewing was like a textile thing off the freeway somewhere in SoCal.
Oh.
That what's his face, the director, found full lost. So
I'm
guessing Mickey Rourke did not go to Morocco. Maybe he went to Prague, and that's why he got that award for showing up and being famous.
There are a lot of Arabic looking inmates in the background in these scenes, like in the mess hall and stuff. It seems like there's a lot. We never get a nice big wide scene with like populated by a ton of inmates. It's always fairly tight, I would say.
Can you imagine what the State Department file is like on Sean Young being Oliver Stone's son and a Muslim?
Yeah, that can't be good. That dude's straight up getting harassed every day.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that's getting frisked at the airport.
Well, the charming Sean Stone meets Sarah's mom, who proclaims he knows how to talk to women.
Yeah, which he totally doesn't. Or maybe he does. Maybe it's me who doesn't know how to talk to women. But I think they find him very smooth.
I mean, maybe
he's the one with the girl.
Maybe there's something
Not
about
anymore.
his unnatural charm that just really works in the translation. Somehow these Moroccans just find it irresistible. But
He
so
is
there's
like simple, a little off. I love it.
he is like Stifler.
He is a little off. It is cute. That's
They-
terrible.
Yeah. Frank talks about meeting Sarah's dad, and he gets laughed at.
Yes,
So there's this
and he's
weird
like,
convo about
Are
commitment.
he's like, are you ashamed of me? And I was thinking she should be ashamed of him.
Yeah, there's this argument, and then she's maybe kind of trying to push marriage, and he doesn't seem to be ready for that commitment. And they have not a separation. They just walk their separate ways for the rest of the day. He shows back up in it's the hotel room, and he's got this sign that says, or a card.
Very weird how it is too.
Frank Lings. I mean,
big-
even the name, isn't that the perfect name for this guy?
Yes, it's perfect.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
It's just encapsulates this bastard perfectly.
You're like, wow, that's, I guess, a name.
It's a name.
Yeah, it's a little off. Can't put my finger on it. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
So underneath it is some Arabic writing, and she says something like, I don't know, what does she say?
Yeah, underneath his name in huge, like, printed letters is her, in hand printing under that in tiny letters is her name.
It's in Arabic though.
But in Arabic.
Yeah. And then we get some subtitles.
Yes, it says and Sarah, or something like that. Plus Sarah or whatever it is.
So it's not a full-on proposal. It's kind of like
what he says, yes, it's like what he wants to put on their mailbox.
He's making more of a commitment.
Wasn't there earlier like a thing where he's like, we'll talk about this later, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was earlier than this though, right?
Yes.
So this is so weird because clearly when he did that, should have been obvious to her, and it was very obvious to us that he was planning a marriage proposal, right?
That's what I thought.
And so then he busts this thing out with the mailbox and the Arabic, and it was just like really weird, like how he didn't propose marriage to her or anything. He just busted this thing out.
A very classic Frank Lings kind of move. Well, no matter how strange, it does something to Sarah here, because she ends up giving it up to him in the hotel room.
Oh, that's right.
And they lay in the bed and prepare to make passionate love. And Sarah
You think
says,
that this premarital sex is what caused her death in this faith film in some way?
Yeah, maybe this is a Muslim geezer teaser of sorts.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe
a geezer teaser for the Islamic world.
Sure, it is a little bit of a geezer teaser for the Islamic world. Yeah, got a little prison meanness. It definitely seems inspired by like the movie A Prophet to some degree.
Yeah, never saw that.
It's a famous French movie about Islamic prisoners in France in jail.
Nice.
And gangster shit in prison, kind of like Blood In, Blood Out or something.
Well, this is the scene where she seals her fate. Then, if you look at it one way, and as they're getting ready to make love, she says, "Please don't hurt me." We
You
have
know
some
he
nice.
did.
Yeah, you know he did. And there's some melodramatic music that swells, and Frank takes his shirt off and he mounts his lady. But right in the middle of this lovemaking, we hard cut from the sensuality to Frank talking to his lawyer in prison and bursting into tears. Because
Oh, because he's remembering it. Oh man,
no,
yeah.
no,
Oh,
because he's just received the news that
oh, that is.
Bobby.
Oh, is dead.
We get some more bad crying from Frank here. Unfortunate crying.
Yeah,
When
just
he-
a lot of caveman motions and stuff. There's something very Cro-Magnon about him, Neanderthal.
Definitely. And he's certain it wasn't an accident. He says
Missing
there's
link.
got to be a way that we can get a hold of his laptop and his research, because that's going to save me. And
Devolution stone.
the lawyer is like, well, she says something crazy like he was coming from work, so most of that stuff, if you saw the scene of this accident, you would understand. So she's trying to imply that like there's going to be none of his research is saved anywhere. It's not in a fucking cloud somewhere.
No, I guess not.
It's all gone, buddy.
Not that you can get to.
It's gone. And then he does try to explain to her, like, well, if you do a little snooping around like he did, you can get to that hard evidence that he arrived at. And she's like,
not gonna do
just
that.
not willing to help him.
He's
probably
like, why
afraid.
are you even representing me?
She's like, you don't understand. When I first met this man, he gave me the hardest shrug I've ever gotten in my life.
Are you pregnant with Lewis's baby?
Yeah, he does flip out on her big time. Basically tells her to screw off.
Yeah, he just seems like such a spaz.
He spazzes good here.
He seems like a psycho.
Yeah.
The whole time, even when he's dating the girl, maybe especially. But he always just seems like you kind of feel like watching it. You're like, I feel like they really wanted us to like this guy, but I just feel like I'm watching a psycho.
Yeah, definitely. He's got that energy to him. He's got a Ted Bundy-ness to him.
Yeah, Travis Bickle, Ted Bundy.
So he smashes a mirror and he just starts to laugh hysterically. Like he just totally loses his mind temporarily.
Yes.
They throw him in the shoe and he's in there losing his mind.
He starts ranting, going crazy. What's he saying in there?
He's just laughing.
Oh, you're right. He's laughing like and jumping around the room. Yeah, it's real bad.
Like a madman.
It's very bad. Yeah, some straight up madman stuff, but not convincing.
So
I don't know what Sean Stone should have done there, but that was a poor choice by the film.
Definitely. The guard Lewis interrupts the Muslims in the middle of their prayer in the prayer room with an order to shut it down.
Yes.
The Muslims all stand up to him, and he has some line about John Wayne movies always end in fisticuffs.
Yeah.
You want a little Western psychotherapy?
Yeah. It's another thing you wonder if he like made up or if that was in the script.
Maybe that's a Kilpatrick made up, would be my guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it seems like during this scene here, some of these Muslims get thrown into solitary confinement because Frank gets out and he's talking to Frenchy in the yard, and he says he could hear his brothers praying in there. This is where Frank tells Frenchy that he's gonna escape. He wants his help.
The warden yet?
This is just coming up. We're about to meet this hilarious warden. Yeah, he's like, I'm getting out of here, and Frenchy's like, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Leave me out of it. I'm staying. I'm here for a reason. And I'm going to finish my sentence, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of that's a friendship ruiner for them. So Frenchy pieces out. So then we see Lewis and Ferris, the leader of the Muslim gang, and the warden in this warden's office.
And the warden is played by Louis Mandylor, who is Costas Mandylor's brother, and I guess has been in things forever, works all the time. But
was he in the Mandalorian?
No, neither was Costas Mandylor. I thought about that when the Mandalorian came out.
He was in the My Big Fat Greek Wedding films. I watched the first one the other day. First My Big Fat Greek Wedding film. First time I'd seen it since it came out in the year 2002.
I've never seen it.
I don't think you need to, unless you're really curious about Greek culture.
Oh yeah, that's right. Another Eric Roberts. You and Eric Roberts, both your Greek connections.
Yeah, I've been going off on some, well, we can get into that later in the episode, but I've been watching some Julia films as well.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that it's been a long time since we revisited the What's She Doing in the year we're covering.
Yeah, that was going to be a runner.
7 episodes ago at least, probably.
Well, we can get back into it because it's interesting sometimes to see where their careers are at different moments. Talk to me about this warden, Roy.
He's got some wild glasses and seems like I kind of liked him. He was weird. He was like a slickster kind of lawyer. He was like a ambulance chaser lawyer as a cover your ass kind of warden. He didn't seem like a hard ass guy at all. He seems like the kind of guy who has what's his face, Lewis, doing all of his dirty work, and it's just kind of like a harried suit that likes to party too. Yeah, he definitely seemed like he liked to party, this warden.
Yeah, it was an interesting take on the prison warden.
I liked it.
Yeah, good take.
Some energy. You know what we know Lewis Mandel. I believe he's the Australian kicker in Necessary Roughness.
Damn.
That might
I wonder
be
if
about
people
it.
like
I've seen like one or two other things he was in. That's it.
You ever think he gets spotted for that?
Probably not. Hard to say. I mean, hard to say. I bet Necessary Roughness has some insane fans out there.
Also, want to
if
know
he looks the same at all. Probably that's like 30 years ago. Also, he was in around the same time. A few years later, he was in The Quest, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie directed by Roger Moore. That's kind of got some fun in it. Wouldn't mind watching it again.
The whole, I guess, gist of this scene is just that Lewis is trying to explain to the warden that he thinks the Muslims are forming a gang and that they're using the prayer room to plan things.
Yes.
So not much is resolved yet.
No, there's going to be a hassle about it.
So Frenchy's not going to help Frank. So Frank goes to Ferris in the yard and just straight up goes up to him and says, like, I want you to help me get rid of this judge. I'm going to pay you. I know you have connections on the outside, which is a pretty wild thing to ask for. And Ferris shuts him down instantly and is just like, what are you talking about? He says something like, how would you like us to deliver his head wrapped in a box?
Do you even believe in God?
Yeah, he kind of tries to convert him here. Frank shuts him down on that, and so this is where Ferris tells him, like, you're on your own then. You're gonna have to find protection somewhere else. He talks a little bit about jihad to Frank, explaining to him the sacrifice that jihad requires, but Frank ain't taking that bait, and so he's on his own now. We see him in the mess hall in the classic no one will sit with me sequence. He tries to sit with the Muslims and Frenchy won't let him sit down. Finally, we see Rourke again after another long ass absence, and he's just he doesn't even do anything. He's just like bouncing his ball or talking to somebody. I don't remember. He doesn't even look like he regards Frank at all. I kept thinking there's going to be way more conflict between Rourke and Frank, which I
guess you could only jam so much into one day.
Yeah. Did we talk about how Rourke, his shirts are wide open in every scene that he's in?
Yes, we did not mention this, but yeah, his shirt is never buttoned.
Nice and tattooed and tanned and muscular and sexy. Very sexy.
Oh yeah, when they're out in the yard and the scene where you're talking about right now, and when they're in the yard, did you see all those pretty pastel bars?
No.
The background of the yard is some very pleasant bars. I almost wondered if they were shooting at an elementary school.
Well, that in this scene is when I felt like, are they shooting this in the Middle East somewhere?
I don't know.
I don't know. But in the mess hall,
it also looked like it could be an LA thing.
Possibly, yeah. I even think there's like some palm plants or maybe a palm tree in the background. So yeah, that would make sense.
It could be either way.
Could be anywhere in the
Middle East, California world.
Frank leaves the mess hall because no one will let him sit anywhere. He dumps his tray in a trash can. He goes into his cell and starts ripping up his bed sheet and makes a nice noose out of it.
Yes, this is some love, cheat, and steal prison break action here.
Yeah. So he hangs himself. Now, the way I understand a hanging is that the noose breaks your neck when the weight of your body breaks your neck, right?
Yes.
Well, how many movies have we seen where a guy's being hung and he's like gagging and like alive? I don't think that's supposed to happen. I think the weight of your body separates your neck and kills you.
Yeah, if you do it with the trap door, that's why they do the trap door and everything, and the weight. Yeah, they don't just let you hang.
Yeah, maybe it really needs that forceful drop.
Yeah, I think so.
To get the jerk motion going.
I think so. I don't think it's just that your head is that heavy that it automatically snaps it. I could see that happening sometimes.
Yeah, if you're a person of advanced size, maybe it would happen faster. But he's choking and gagging in this scene. So he does not die instantly here. He flashes back to
Rather, he does not die, no.
Yeah, he flashes back to this night walk. I think just before it we see
night walk.
He's on the phone with Bobby explaining that he's got the ring.
Yes, he's going to propose to her. So this is what I was bringing up. Yeah, so it's like he's still already on this trip was going to propose to her just as we thought earlier, which makes that mailbox move real weird.
Yeah, well,
Got him laid on, it got her killed, I guess, through moral.
he has some line about 2 years ago, something or other, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, are they back in Morocco after being together for 2 years? But
oh, whoa.
I don't really care to
That's
investigate
a good
that.
point. I don't know. You might be right.
It's a kind of throwaway, but when I heard it, it kind of stuck with
How
me.
strange.
They go on this, well, she kind of runs away from.
They don't go to Morocco. They go to Egypt.
Really?
Yeah, they're always hanging out in Egypt, not Morocco. Pretty sure.
I think it's Morocco.
Okay. Because I kept thinking that the guys that shoot her, spoiler, are Egyptian, I think, right? Didn't she say she's from Egypt?
She says she's from Morocco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and when he makes the chicken, he says, "I made Moroccan chicken." And
I
then when we get to the end of the movie,
she's from the place of the 1,001 Nights. Remember, she says that all crazy.
Well, that would be Iran, right?
I
first
thought they were in Egypt because I made a note saying that I thought that maybe Morocco was trying to like secretly have a war with Egypt, who is traditionally their ally.
I'm 99% sure that they're in Morocco.
You're probably right.
And she runs off from him, and he chases her into this nice little night garden, and the chase turns into a night walk, and they're having a chat, and she mentions that she's a little bit paranoid. She's looking around and stuff, and then she explains that she used to come to this garden with her father when she was a baby and stuff.
And made
out with her father. And Frank gets down. He's getting ready to get down on his knee and propose when these 3 police officers show up. And Sarah mentions they're not supposed to be in public together. So they're breaking the law. And they begin to talk to them. And Sarah speaks to them in kind of broken Arabic, which they remark
and they really
upon.
don't care. They really don't care for them. The cops don't. They
hate Americans.
They're kind of like Lewis's of their country, where they just keep calling her a whore and telling them both this isn't a nightclub here.
This isn't a nightclub. Yeah. And then they want to see a marriage certificate.
So they can be together. That's right.
So,
which of course they don't have.
She's Frank is just like, this is bullshit. We didn't do anything wrong. And she's like, you don't understand. They just want money. She tries to bribe them.
Yeah.
She puts a wad of cash in the oldest cop's hand, and he looks at it for a minute and then throws it in her face and calls her a fucking whore, which makes Frank angry. He runs over and attacks the guy and shoves him down. And then they start.
That Frank would freak out.
Yeah.
Lose his cool.
Mr. Normal over here.
Yeah.
So this is where this chase at the very start of the film happens. And we know how it ends.
The cops chase them, guns pulled and stuff. And there's, it's a tense, thrilling chase that where we already know the wife is going to, or the would-be fiance is going to tragically be murdered somehow.
Yeah, they really shouldn't have shown that at the beginning of the film.
No, it would have been, I think they kind of had to get it out of the way. In any case, it was a poor idea for a movie. But what I was going to say is that there was a weird insert shot of just her bouncing boobs while she ran.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, that's really wacky for this scene. It's like a Baywatch shot, but in regular motion. But for the scene where you're supposed to be feeling all like sad and on your edge of your seat.
Some uncanny shit, man. And then some high-heeled running.
Yes.
Never gets old. I was so glad that we got to see that twice.
Yes.
I take back everything I said. I'm really glad they showed the chase twice because
I was like, the slow disclosure of events on things in this movie was just like, no thanks to me. So I was like, just tell me. I already know this sucks.
I think right when the gunshot sound is heard, we cut back to the prison cell and the noose breaks and Frank falls to the ground and he looks up from the floor to see Frenchy, who has softened, and he puts his hand out to help his buddy up. And Frank says something like, don't tell anybody. And he helps him up. And then he shows Frenchy, that is, he shows the scars on his wrists where he tried to kill himself. Remember this, Roy?
Fresh me.
So Frenchy attempted his own suicide. And this is where he gets into
this is where he gets into it.
Yeah, this is where he explains more about his lost son. His son was killed in a hit and run, and they didn't catch the guy, but a witness contacted.
Oh, I was going to say, I really, really wish that Sean Stone's suicide attempt had been successful. The movie had just been over.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say about that except that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, word.
There's this story about his son is so crazy because he's like a witness. A witness contacted me. They said they
Yeah.
wanted to contact me instead of the police. So I went directly to him. And he's like, but he didn't die.
It's the most vague story ever.
Well, so
So someone told me, so it's not told me, but someone told him where he could find the guy, and he found the guy and beat him up, but didn't kill him.
and then goes on the
What we're
run.
supposed to infer. Yeah.
And this happened in France. He took his son to France with him when his son was young
Yeah. Talk
to give him
about
a better life.
the most vague, confusing like story. What this guy
Very
did.
strange. And he says that while he's on the run, like he basically his wife left him. And then he turned himself in and now he's in jail. Okay. Why is he in jail in America?
Yeah. But maybe he's American. Wait, is that where he
No,
got?
they came to France from some
Well,
war
did he run back to France after to run away from the cops? They brought him back. I don't remember this.
I don't know how he ended up in
That's
America.
a good question. I don't know.
I
I don't know how Frenchy's in America either.
Somehow he is. Maybe we missed a piece of. Can you
just
really
imagine
blame
in
us for
LA
missing
you
a
could
piece
get
of
away with-
exposition in a fucking novel of exposition this movie gives you? Sorry. After this, old Ferris comes back around to Frank and he offers him a deal. He offers him a guarantee that he can see the judge die with his own two eyes, but it involves a suicide attack. So he offers him a martyr's paradise and basically says, if you're going to die, you die as a martyr and this will grant you the highest level of heaven. And this begins a whole section of the film where Frank converts to Islam, which is pretty interesting if you know Sean Stone's story.
So he had done it before the movie. I did not know his story.
Yeah, Sean Stone, a notable Muslim. We see the warden again around this time, and he tells Lewis that they can't keep the prayer room shut down because it's against the law. They have to have the room open for the freedom of religion stuff.
That's
And
right.
This really pisses Lewis off. Can you imagine?
Yeah. He's like, they could be construed as impinging on their religious freedom.
Yes.
Which
And
obviously
so
it was. But
the warden says, like, somebody sent out an appeal out into the public and they got the appeal to reopen it, blah, blah, blah. And Lewis is like, who did it? I just want to know who did it. So he finds out it was Ferris that did it. Of course. Who else is it going to be? The fucking leader.
Yes, it was really weird.
Sorry.
And the demands to ask for it was very strange.
Sorry
He
to
should have just
curse,
known.
Roy.
Yeah, he should have just known.
Now this is where I'm gonna need your help a little bit because we see Rourke as Gary again always in a dark corridor that they shot various angles of in that day that he was there.
I don't know.
So Rourke is back again and he's intimidating Lewis again, basically. And he starts to talk about his wife and his unborn child.
Yeah, he says he's gonna cut the ears off of his wife.
He has a daughter who's in third grade, and he's like, he goes, "You wouldn't want anything to happen to your daughter in third grade, John Hopkins Elementary." Like, he just knows everything.
Johns Hopkins Elementary School.
Okay, so what's the deal here? Gary has a problem with the Muslim gang. They're like in his way of making money because he's all about making that money.
Yes, he's making money while other people are doing time.
But he wants that prayer room shut down. He wants to get rid of the Muslims basically because they're giving him trouble. But that's something that either was cut out of the rest of the movie or just was so, again, buried in exposition somewhere that I missed what was going on. Yeah. But Lewis is just telling Gary, he's like, I'll take care of it. I promise I'm going to take care of it. Like, he's kind of desperate now. And this is the best part of the movie. Now that they have their prayer room back, the Muslims are super using it to plot.
Just immediately.
Immediately. Like, you see a guy praying only to make noise, and Ferris and Frank are in the back, and they're just going over this plan.
Yeah, Frenchy told us those were bad guys.
Yeah, we should have listened to Frenchy. But this is a strange overlap going on here because there's this plotting, and then at the same time, Frank is learning the Quran.
Yes.
And Frenchy is helping him read Arabic and showing him the texts and everything. And at some point in here, Frank also gets back in touch with the lawyer that he freaked out on.
Yes.
And apologizes to her and tells her he's been kind of reborn, whatever the Muslim version of being born again is. Can you be a born again Muslim?
Oh, I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, I don't think so. In this sequence of events, I noted that there's a weird moment of Ferris and Mickey Rourke just like staring at each other in that same dark room, and Rourke just laughing at him. So they don't like each other, but there's something missing in this rivalry that never really gets resolved too much.
No.
There's a scene of Lewis coming by Ferris's cell and telling him he's gonna break up all of his buddies, all of his gang or something. He spits on his prayer rug. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Frank completes his conversion.
Yes.
And is sworn into the faith. And immediately after he's sworn into the faith, Ferris tells him the rest of the plan. The plan now involves framing Frenchy.
Yes.
With a shiv.
After Frenchy's helped him so much.
Yeah, they're going to betray
him. The only way out
him.
is to betray Frenchy.
They're going to plant a shiv in his bed and get him thrown into solitary confinement.
Yes, in order to provide distraction while they escape.
Lewis searches
didn't make a ton of sense, right?
No.
You're like, what is every guard in the prison going to be distracted with this one plot?
Yeah, that didn't make much sense to me either. Lewis shows up and searches that cell with relish. Throws everything.
Oh, yeah. He's all about it.
Trashes the hell out of that room.
And makes fun of the Muslims for being so clean.
Right. So he finds the shiv and they drag Frenchy away to an interrogation room.
Frenchy's swearing it isn't his and telling Sean Stone, old Frank Lings, to tell Lewis that it wasn't his shiv. Sean Stone ain't say shit.
No, he turns his back on his brother.
Yes, he does.
And they haul him out. And so he's in this room and Lewis is just saying, give me the names. You give me the names. Frenchy, the first person he rats out is Ferris.
What's he say? That he gives up Ferris because he tells Lewis that it's probably they framed him with this shiv so they could escape.
Right.
It's like somehow he's divined the whole was a plan to distract them, and he tells Lewis that. And Lewis is like, all right, give me a name. He doesn't believe him at first. And he's like, give me a name. He's like, Ferris.
But he gives him another name, Frank. He tells him Frank is involved. So the first place they go to, Lewis takes Frenchy with him, and they go back to the cell where Frank is praying in front of the holy texts.
Yeah, bringing Frenchy back with him was a bad move.
Yeah, and this super pisses off Lewis. What the fuck are you doing? You praying like those rats? He calls them rats.
Oh yeah, before you went to cell, like I just wanted to highlight one of the lines just so people, if they don't see this, can know that Patrick Kilpatrick. Like an exact line he had while talking to Frenchy was, "I am going to wrap your head in bacon and separate it from your body for all eternity. Hang on to this pillow of pus." That's what he says when he pushes.
I missed the pus
Frenchy
part.
off on some other guards.
Damn, that's Pulitzer worthy right there.
Yes. Wow.
So back in this cell thing, Lewis is extra pissed and he rips open the cell door to go in and lay into Frank. And there's a Molotov on fire above the door that falls on Lewis and just coats him with it. And he's just burning. It looked kind of good, all wet. And, they throw that oil or whatever, the fireproof gel that they put on people for this type of stuff. Whatever it is they use for this burning effect in movies, it was very effective in this one because he's bald and just the wetness of it actually looked good, I thought.
What was the movie we watched last time?
The last film that we watched was...
there was a general that said irregardless. Are you a person who says regardless or irregardless? Are those two things that mean the same thing, right?
I think they mean the same thing. I'm a regardless guy.
I'm a regardless man. I find irregardless to be grandiloquent.
Someone said it in Ape versus Monster?
Yeah. I think, as you would probably expect, it was the Michael Rooker guy. I'm not sure now. I just remember thinking about it. But also, I was thinking that's another one that is flammable versus inflammable, where they mean the same thing. So
right.
I like a lot of people to say flammable.
Yeah. What'd you say? The word you used to describe them? It was a good one. What was it?
Jizzlord. No, grandiloquent.
This is a sober. You're getting ED sober this time around.
Not gonna have any of that in.
Usually not very lubricated. Well, only just slightly lubricated when I do this, just to kind of, steady the ship. But I'm just having some seltzer today.
Nice. I got a Coke and a
I've had various experiments. I've tried caffeine, which I think makes me a little too erratic when we're doing this, and then booze, which makes me perhaps too loose and too racist at times. So I think good old seltzer might be the way forward from here on out. We'll see how I'm feeling next time. So Lewis is all burned up, and then someone throws a blanket over him, and Ferris nails him in the back of the head. I forget if he uses a weapon or his fist. He knocks him out. So Lewis isn't dead, but he is unconscious. And I think he gets a few licks in as he's on the ground. Ferris then tells Frenchy to get in the cell. He forces him into the cell and tells him that you're
handcuff
too
himself into like the bars or something.
yeah, you're too principled. I couldn't have told you about this plan because
You're not coming with us.
you can't come with us.
We had to frame you because we couldn't trust you. It's everything we said. Yeah.
But you said Frenchy handcuffs Ferris to the bars.
And Ferris has been flim-flammed in that.
Big time.
If you wondered how Frenchy put together that whole escape conspiracy plan so quickly, it's because Sean Stone told him, and Frenchy was already in on it. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, and then Frenchy punches the hell out of Ferris, knocks him unconscious, and then this somehow allows Frank to escape.
Well, Frank's running away, but Frenchy won't go with him. Frenchy was being serious about wanting to stay in jail, even though he helped him with the plan. He won't go with him. We get that reiterated.
Right. And then Frank asks him, what are you going to do with Lewis? And he's like, I have to show my enemy mercy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what God would do with me or something or other. And
if God shows me mercy, I have to show someone mercy.
So he helps. Lewis wakes up and he's pouring water over his burns. He's helping him. Frank very easily infiltrates Lewis's office somehow.
Yeah.
And is able to get on his clothes. He gets a t-shirt, which was
gets
a
the
V-neck,
helmet,
by the way.
He
gets a crazy motorcycle jacket.
With the coke, he gets the cocaine in the motorcycle jacket.
He puts his hand in the pocket and he finds a bag of drugs.
Big bag of coke for drugs, yeah.
Powdered drugs, and he's walking out through one of the cell blocks, and he walks right past
a
Mickey
daytime
Rourke's.
Snoozing, it seems like, right?
It's night.
Oh, it's night. It seems like day.
He's got the motorcycle helmet on. He's walking by.
Mickey Rourke's just in his tidy whities, and maybe for the first time in a shirt, or maybe not for some reason when he's sleeping. No, maybe he's not in a shirt, but yeah, he's just in socks or something and tidy whities. That was a pretty wacky shot.
You get a nice gratuitous shot of the Rourke bulge.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So Frank sets him up good and sprinkles some of the drugs all over the floor and throws the baggie into Rourke's cell, and then you very easily leave. And then, like, as he's walking by, you hear somebody go, "Bye, Lewis." Like, off screen.
Very Home Alone-y kind of.
So here's the question I have: do you think he rode that motorcycle out of there?
Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty suspicious, right? If he just walks the hell out of there.
Yeah, it would. He probably did ride the motorcycle.
We never see him do it. The next thing we see is, so Ferris had explained to him earlier in the plan, he had mentioned there's a van that's like some miles down the road that has everything you need in it. So Frank finds this van. There's explosives in the van. I didn't really understand that. I guess he was supposed to use it to carry out their jihad. I guess the plan was to really blow up the judge or something. I don't. There's also a phone. He uses the phone.
Call the lawyer.
Calls the lawyer. He tells her, he says, "I'm out." And this really worries her. She's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "They're going to something." He's like, "And you're going to have to help me." So then we see a courthouse, and we see the good judge, Eric Roberts, walking through the courthouse, and Frank accosts the judge with a gun and holds him hostage, and they talk a little bit, and finally the judge recognizes, "I know who you are," blah blah blah. And then, like, basically through their talking, the judge confesses everything.
How'd you like Roberts's character as he played it here? How would you define this guy? He's kind of a criminal judge. Like, you have those slick, crazy, unprincipled, unscrupuled lawyer. He was an unscrupuled judge that was all crazy and seemed like an old guy that
Yeah.
likes to party and stuff.
A corrupt judge. I just watched a series called Your Honor starring Bryan Cranston as a corrupt judge.
Ah,
Two different, very radically different takes on this type of character. Again, I mean, Roberts, to me, he was kind of in the same like weird, chipper, loose mode that he was in Man versus Ape.
it made more sense here.
Yeah.
I forgot what line it was. Maybe I wrote it down, but I don't think so. But he just was doing some more slurring here once he starts talking.
He was. Yeah. There's
And
this.
I was wondering if that's replaced his lip smacks and his acting bag of tricks, slurs, his lines.
The line I wrote down was, "I'm not running for sainthood. I'm just an ordinary guy, pal." So Roberts gets pulled into a courtroom with the gun on him, and there's these like the SWAT team has all descended upon this courthouse, and there's these insane graphics of the red laser pointers.
The lawyer's in there for a split second before all that, right?
The lawyer?
His lawyer.
Oh, not quite yet.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Well, there's just a little more confession of just basically the judge revealing all of his bribery and corruption, especially with that case.
Yes.
With Frank's case.
Yes.
And then Frank reveals that he had a smartphone in his pocket that was on, and somebody's on the other end, and it's the lawyer. And the lawyer,
she was just there hearing that in the background. I forgot that. I did not remember this. Okay.
It's so crazy, Roy.
Because she's just there in a minute.
She's outside somewhere nearby with a cop, and the cop looks at her as you can hear Roberts be like, "I did it, blah, blah, blah." And the cop instantly just like nods her head, and they just go in. Like, that's all we needed. So they go in, and then one of my favorite parts of the film, just an amazing part, was Roberts' character explaining that he himself converted to Islam.
Yes. This was
for superficial reasons, like I did it.
Our religion.
Yeah, you're gonna kill your brother, all this stuff. And Frank explains, "No, I'm not gonna kill you. That wasn't my plan. That's not the plan." And so he drops the clip out of the gun. He's got an unloaded gun. The SWAT team's coming in closer to him. He raises the gun again on the judge like he's gonna fire, and he just gets blasted in the chest.
Yes.
Falls to the ground. The lawyer goes over to him as he's dying and is crying. Man, this is a hell of a lawyer, really, when you think about it. A lawyer that's going to cry as you're dying.
Yeah, it's dramatic. I could see.
But she basically says,
if you didn't know him.
Sure. And she's a female.
But she's a lawyer. So you're right. She probably wouldn't cry in real life.
But she says,
she went above and beyond, especially now that she's probably not going to ever see that money.
She tells him, "You did it. You basically cleared your name and got this guy busted." And he dies happily.
He says that was God's purpose for him, and he's now going to be reunited with salami.
Sarah. Yeah, he's going to be united with his delicious salami.
Oh yeah.
And as he is dying, we flash back to Sarah dying that night in his arms. And as she's dying, she puts the ring on her finger and accepts his marriage proposal. So that's the end of the story.
But perhaps she did not die a whore technically to God. So they'll be reunited in paradise.
It's stopped being a geezer teaser, and now it is a geezer appeaser of sorts.
Oh yes. Then we have the funeral.
Well, yes, we have a quick thing here where we learn that Frenchy is released on a reduced sentence for his remarkable behavior
in the testimony of Lewis. So Lewis got his character learned a lesson about not hating Islam.
Yeah.
The mercy shown helped another man show mercy in his heart, and things were passed on.
So we see Frank Ling's
being a good Muslim.
We see Frank Ling's Muslim tombstone, and Frenchy's there with what feels like one of the guys that was an inmate with them, right?
Felt to me like it was the director of the movie, or maybe a PA off American Idol.
It probably was.
I don't know.
Here's a confusing thing. Where is this grave?
I guess LA.
Because the movie ends, we see him at the gravesite, and then we see Frenchy, and he's in Morocco. And this time we actually get the title at the bottom. It says Casablanca.
I think Frenchy was from Morocco or from France and was trying to get back to Morocco. I really think the movie takes place. I think the murder of Sarah takes place in Egypt.
Okay.
I think they
I'm willing to bet you $100 that it's in Morocco.
Oh my gosh.
How many
Coming up-
times did you watch the film, Roy?
I watched it twice only.
How many
What's-
bugs did you see? How many
Only one.
spiders?
I'll bet you $20
$20.
that happened in Egypt. Wait,
You have my Venmo.
Okay.
Well, at any rate, we're absolutely certain that the movie ends in Casablanca. And Frenchy is walking up to a mosque, I think, or some kind of a building. And that's it. That is Night Walk.
Yeah, we go to the credits. Oh yeah, I think it was that guy, the director Aziz Tazi. I think he was the guy. He's credited as being someone in the movie.
Yeah, I saw that he was in the cast, but I wasn't sure.
I'm guessing he's that guy. I don't know. So what I saw, I wanted to point out a couple. Did you see anything in the end credits?
I didn't really watch those too much. So
Okay.
tell me what you saw.
I noticed that the editor was Ghislaine Asif. And that reminds me of that Ghislaine Maxwell lady.
Makes you think of her a bit.
Do you remember her?
I remember that she's still alive every day of my life.
I think is she still awaiting trial for helping Jeffrey Epstein, like for finding underage female prostitutes for Jeffrey Epstein, her ex-boyfriend?
That's how I understand it.
She's up on all those charges. One she's sure to be convicted of is being the world's greatest girlfriend. Also, they had a credit in loving memory of Brenton Byloff down
you know
by
anything
the
about
Stones. I looked into Brenton Byloff and I could find some a Facebook page dedicated to memories of him from around 2018, and it seemed to be he was about a 32-year-old man, and they asked for donations to something called the Heron Foundation or Heron Project, which turns out to be to get people off drugs, about addiction and recovery.
Okay.
So maybe Byloff's death was related to that.
The only other little things I had here that were interesting, one of them is that Sean William Scott Stone has made content promoting far-right and pro-Donald Trump conspiracy theories, including QAnon.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He's also a Muslim?
Yeah. Strange combination of things there, especially him being Oliver Stone's son.
Very strange. Converting to Islam and being an arch conservative seems like two odd choices.
Also, I wanted to say about Kilpatrick. Patrick Kilpatrick released a memoir in 2018 called Dying for Living, Sins and Confessions of a Hollywood Villain and Libertine Patriot, Volume 1, Upbringing. So there's going to be more. So
he's probably a conservative too.
I guarantee you we'll get probably more volumes of the Kilpatrick memoirs before we get more of the Bob Dylan Chronicles. Which how long have we been waiting for those? 20 years or so?
I never read the first one.
That's quite good. Yeah.
Man, I should read it.
It jumps around into different decades in his life and stuff. So you get the feeling like, man, he could really put out 3 or 4 more of these if he wanted to, but they have yet to arrive.
Yeah, not a lot of Roberts in this week's movie.
No, man, that shrug though. Oh my gosh. That was the shrug heard around the world. Very memorable.
Remind me of Mark Maron or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't have many thoughts on where to go next, but I am feeling the 80s. I'm feeling maybe some Australia in the 1980s could be fun.
I'm up for just about anything. I wouldn't mind something a little more connected to normal show business than this.
It was fun coming to you guys from somewhere in the Arab world, and I look forward to the next episode when Roy pays me that $20.
Okay.
Have a great one, y'all.
With that.
Happy 4th of July. We'll probably be back right after that.
Assalamu alaikum.